Welcome to Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, where integrated wisdom is the best way to live. My name is Dr. Ken McGill, the author of the Cultivating Love book series, and today in this episode, I'd like to talk about my new book, Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, but specifically what's in the box, or what's in the book, and how this book could be helpful for you, no matter who you are, a therapist, a pastor, a student, a husband, a wife, single, divorced, grandparent, or adolescent, someone challenged with compulsive behavior, or someone in recovery. I think that Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life could be useful for you. And you may ask, how and why should I purchase this? Well, please, that's what this episode is about. Allow me to share a few reasons why I'd like for you to consider purchasing it. First of all, Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life is written to take a deep dive into the subject of wisdom and to look at how to grow and to remain wise during the seasons of your life. But it's also a book written about the subject of love and the powerful effect that cultivated love could have in your life. I dare say that wisdom and love are probably in the top 5 of a list of virtues that many would like to develop and consistently experience in their life. And who among you would tell me that you can stand to have a few more pointers on how to cultivate wisdom and how to cultivate love? I mean, I'm not going to say that. At 64 years old, I still want to learn more about those subjects. And so that was one of the catalysts in writing this book. And I don't think that you'll be disappointed when you discover what's inside the box regarding these two subjects. That said, I'd like to provide you with a brief introduction and overview regarding the book, which has 5 sections, and in the next 5 episodes share the introduction of each section so that you'll get a really thorough picture of the main points, the exercises, and how each section builds on the previous one, and as you do your work to cultivate love and wisdom for your journey through life. So it's my hope that Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life could be a valuable resource to have in your library, and hopefully a resource that you'll read and reread for years to come. So why did I write Cultivating Love, Wisdom, Life? For a few reasons. First of all, to help people become skilled at living. What I mean by that is that in my experiences as a practicing psychotherapist for the past 31 years, I've realized that if people want to make good decisions, they want to do the right thing, but I've also realized that they just don't have the correct set of tools or processes at their disposal to come to their own assistance, and at times to the assistance of their marriage or their family. So this book was written with that purpose in mind, which is to provide people with information, insights, suggestions, exercises, and processes to help them think about, devise, then apply behaviors that, if practiced continuously, will yield wise outcomes for their self and with others in their life. By the way, our English word wisdom comes from the classical Greek word Sophia, which means becoming skilled in the affairs of life. So in the book, I've shortened the definition of wisdom and described wisdom as becoming skilled at living. But there is more. The word picture of Sophia, or wisdom, is of an artist who is skilled at their craft, and becoming skilled at living is like learning how to be an artist who becomes an expert at painting into existence the picture that depicts wise behavior, one behavioral brushstroke at a time, as I call it, until your very life and existence displays not only a life well lived, but also that your life is a portrait of who you are for others to see, appreciate, enjoy, and marvel about. That, to me, is what becoming wise or becoming skilled at living means. And that is the aim of what you'll read about on each page of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life. How to become skilled at living so that when complex life situations arise, you'll know when, where, and what behavioral brushstroke, as I call it, which equates to the appropriate accurate, corrective behavior that's needed, and where it is to be applied on the canvas of your life. And when that behavioral brushstroke is applied, you'll have confidence in your actions because your actions depict wisdom and reflect that you are, in fact, becoming skilled at living. Second, I fundamentally believe that people, no matter who you are or your circumstance in life, you deserve to love and be loved. And this book will expound upon how to develop and deliver love to yourself and to the neighbors in your life. My value system informs me that I think people were created to be loved, to grow up with loving behavior, unconditionally demonstrate it to them in the environments that they frequent and they live. And hopefully they'll adopt love as a part of their own identity. And as they mature in life, they will turn around and reproduce the same depth and quality of loving behaviors to others around them, their family, their community, be they right down the street from where they live or on the other side of the world. So my research and my practice has led me to identify that there are different types of love, but neo-Freudian Erik Erikson, one of my favorite clinicians who developed the 8 stages of psychosocial development, you'll read about that in section 1, taught about a superlative type of love to be developed and shared. And in my research and my practice, I've identified that agape love has 18 different characteristics that flow from it. And I've often said that if I do nothing else in my life except practice what I call the 18, then my job description will be complete. And I know that something good is going to come from the behavioral brushstrokes when love is applied to the canvas of my life and demonstrated in all of my behaviors and affairs. So let's talk about what you'll find in the sections of the book. And the 5 sections are titled Section 1, Integrated Wisdom, the Ultimate Way to Live. Section 2, Compromised Wisdom. Section 3, Recalibrated Wisdom. Section 4, Wisdom Skills and the Healthy Adult Mode Behaviors. And the book concludes with section 5, gold, silver, rubies, and precautions. So allow me to elaborate for the rest of this episode what's in each of the sections. So in section 1, you'll read about how what I call the Shema and the blessing principles, in addition to Richard Schwartz's internal family systems, are life-giving and life-affirming principles woven throughout the entirety of the book, as the Shema and the blessing principles serve as the foundation for changing, healing, growing, thriving, and cultivating wisdom, while the internal family systems work focuses on an internal process to learn, love, unburden, and utilize to cultivate wisdom in one's life. This is important because if you're like me and you didn't have a father around to teach these valuable principles to you, thankfully I did have a mother who did her very best job that she could with me and my 2 sisters. Then in Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, you'll find a myriad of practical and insightful tools to enlighten you about your behavior, the behavior of others, and how to reparent or grow yourself up into becoming the person that you were always meant to be, someone who deserved love, but also who needed to be shown how to cultivate love and wisdom for your personal benefit, but also for the mutual benefit of others in your life as well. So in section 1, Integrated Wisdom, the Ultimate Way to Live, it contains the benefits of integrated knowledge from a number of different disciplines of life, theology, psychology, neurobiology, and how the acquisition and application of those knowledge principles helps you to become wise or, once again, skilled at living. So here in section 1, you'll find a multitude of tools, exercises, and information to shape, to lay and strengthen your foundation in preparation for the additional strategies suggested throughout the remainder of the book, to continue your efforts at becoming mature, fruitful, and skilled in dealing with life challenges as life presents those challenges to you. So a few of the exercises that you'll find in Cultivating Love and Wisdom for Life in section 1 are, number 1, defining your 7 core areas. Your 7 core areas are we are spiritual, cognitive, emotional, physical/biological, and sexual people, but we're also social/relational and environmental people. These are core parts of who you are. You'll also read about how attachment and the Shema and the blessing principles and Erickson's 8 stages of psychosocial development work together in order to help us to develop wisdom in our life. You'll also read about the portrait of wisdom, where you'll have the opportunity to, in essence, consider and pause and utilize some of the principles to develop the person who you wish to be, one brushstroke at a time. And Give Us This Day Our Daily Bread, my personalized portrait of daily wisdom, you'll have the opportunity to think about and create a calendar of activity over the course of a year where you'll be practicing some of the wisdom principles and the materials that you read about in the book. In the 31 Flavors of Wisdom and the 31-Day Wisdom Challenge, I suggest to you 31 words that repeat when the word wisdom is written in the book of Proverbs. And some of those words are knowledge, awareness, empathy, discernment, creativity, practical action, just to name a few. In the Heart of Wisdom, the 18, as I call it, you'll have the opportunity to look at the 9 descriptors of agape and the 9 fruit of the Spirit. And those are the 9 descriptors of agape are that we love is mentioned, esteem, cherish, favor, respect, relish, acceptance, prize, and devotion. And the 9 fruit of the Spirit, of course, which flows from love, are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. In Wisdom Tool, and the book has a number of wisdom tools. I think there's 17 total, but in this chapter, in section 1, Wisdom Tool number 1 is practicing your spiritual disciplines to connect you with your higher power so that you hear from your higher power. And wisdom, practical spiritual disciplines such as study, prayer, fasting, those are all helpful to help you connect with your higher power of your own understanding, silence and solitude. Wisdom tool number 2, discovering your spiritual gifts, is important as well, because some people may have gifts such as compassion, insight, hospitality, knowledge, and discernment, to name a few. You'll also read about the introduction to the safe places and safe processes, where grounding, PTA, and repair tools are used. Wisdom tool number 3, which is safe places and safe processes for growing an environment to grow wisdom, where, again, we'll delineate in that wisdom tool how to cultivate repair with the practice of 26 A to Z grounding techniques. Wisdom tool number 4, SIFT, which stands for sensation, imaging, feeling, thinking. Thank you, Dan Siegel and Dr. Tina Bryson, for their work on interpersonal neurobiology, but sifting your mind with the pause, think, and act tools. Wisdom tool number 5, which is a quick reference where I ask you to biobalance with the use of the repair tool. And then wisdom tool number 6, which again comes from the Dr. Dan Siegel's interpersonal neurobiology work, the wheel of awareness, your 9 middle prefrontal cortex functions, and how we can get the best of those cognitive processes to override and to think through some of the challenges that are set before you. The chapter concludes with challenges on the horizon, compromised wisdom, and your internal family systems. So there's a lot in section 1 where the focus is on identifying the basics and the foundation for cultivating wisdom. So as I mentioned, section 2, compromised wisdom, we begin by exploring what happens when your current skill set and your capacity to grow in wisdom becomes compromised by adverse life circumstances. It's important to recognize how these experiences can activate default or survival mechanisms or maladaptive behaviors, which often represent your best efforts to try to cope with life-altering trauma and significant changes that accompany it. The challenge is that survival tactics that are not grounded in wisdom may temporarily stave off hurt, pain, devastation, shame, fear, loneliness. But over time, we've that they morph into maladaptive coping mechanisms that actually further compromise your ability to be your best and your wisest self. So the bulk of Section 2 looks at compromise wisdom, learning about me, where M stands for my maladaptive behaviors and E stands for my internal family system parts. So in this section, you'll read about 4 specific areas where I encourage you to take a really good deep dive into looking at yourself, me. The first area is my maladaptive schemas and my internal family system responses. The second part of the subsection is my maladaptive schema modes and my internal family system responses. The third part of the subsection in Section 2 is my maladaptive ego defenses and my internal family system responses. And the fourth part of the subsection is my maladaptive cognitive distortions and my internal family systems responses. The section concludes with how do my firefighters, my exiles, and my managers try to help myself? And I give 50 examples of those. So in each of these subsections, for example, you'll read about how your manager part, your firefighter part, and your exile parts of you are impacted by certain schemas. And some of those schemas may be, for example, abandonment, defectiveness, shame, emotional deprivation, entitlement, grandiosity, or how those manager, firefighter, and exile parts are impacted by schema modes, like the abandoned child mode, angry child mode, detached protector mode, impulsive mode, and again, how your manager, firefighter, and exile parts are impacted by your ego defenses, like acting out, avoidance, denial, passive aggression, projection, and rationalization, to mention a few. And then finally, how your manager, your firefighter, and your exile parts are impacted by cognitive distortions like always being right, blaming, jumping to conclusions, or polarized thinking. With all of these 4 areas, reflection questions are provided to help you to begin learning about the function of these behaviors in your life. And all of these parts within you want to help you, but their assistance may not always yield the best outcomes. And with many people, if given a choice, would probably not want to operate or live by according to those compromised reactive behavioral templates. So thankfully, through the pioneering work of internal family systems, we take a deep dive into that area where we can explore constructive options that exist, and they will be suggested to you in Section 3 to help you to recalibrate and reparent yourself as you learn how to heal and grow beyond your most challenging life circumstances. So Section 3 is called Recalibrated Wisdom, because in order to heal and grow beyond the experience and the effects of trauma from your past and into a place where post-traumatic growth helps you to experience resilience and wisdom, in Section 3, you'll find exercises to create or recreate an internal environment to lovingly integrate the foundational tools from Section 1, along with suggested tools to reparent yourself with wise and loving behaviors to care for, heal, and grow yourself up, if you will, and to eventually experience and share this maturer form of love in your relationships with others. So some of the exercises that you'll encounter in Section 3 are Recalibrated Wisdom, which are 23 core questions for learning, unburdening, and living a new life. Another exercise in section 3 is, who do you say I am? Where I ask you to consider reparenting yourself with love from a loving higher power of your own understanding. Another exercise in section 3 is reparenting and loving yourself with the Shema blessings and blessing principles and the 8 C's of the internal family systems. And wisdom tool number 7, 48 strategies to get the most out of your 8 C's of internal family systems. And wisdom tool number 8, where I add 48 additional strategies to get the most of your 8 C's of internal family systems. The reparenting process takes another turn where, in addition to loving yourself by reparenting, I encourage you to reparent and love others with the Shema and blessing principles, and again, the 8 C's of internal family systems, as well as there are 2 more wisdom tools. Wisdom tool number 9, 48 strategies to get the most out of the 8 C's of internal family systems as applied toward other individuals in your life. And then wisdom tool number 10, McGill's 48 strategies to get the most out of your 8 C's of internal family systems. There's a quick reference that I provide, 13 suggestions and strategies to inspire myself. I love acrostics, and so INSPIRE stands for certain principles that will help you to kind of jumpstart the process of thinking about how the internal family systems could be of assistance to you. There's a wisdom tool, number 11, which I call the 68 to 72 degree target chart. And if you've ever sat in therapy with me, you know that that is a green zone that I encourage people to create for themselves and to live within that green zone of healthy behavior. And some of these behaviors, the wisdom principles that you're extracting out of the book, will more than likely go into that target chart. And that's where I would encourage people to try to live and operate for most of their, during the day. Wisdom tool number 12, which is another tool that has found a lot of good utility from my blog, 10 steps to improve your emotional self-awareness. And there's a feelings wheel there, as well as 10 suggestions and questions to help you to dive in to look at what am I feeling, what are the emotions are going on, how do my thoughts drive my feelings, as well as what needs are there that I could identify and own, and then engage and apply some of these behavioral brushstrokes in order to meet my needs or to meet the needs of other individuals. Wisdom tool number 13 is cultivating enhanced communication with the Imago dialogue tool, where it's a really good communication tool where mirroring, validating, and empathizing with other individuals is helpful in terms of speaking and listening. And it's just, again, the book is full of good tools to help you to feel empowered, as well as to help you to cultivate really good relationships as well. Wisdom tool 14, recalibrating wisdom and your triangle of well-being, where we revisit integrated wisdom piece of Dr. Dan Siegel and Dr. Tina Bryson, the triangle of well-being, where we look at your brain function, where we consider your mind and how your mind interprets some of the processing that's going on, with your neurobiology, and then, of course, how that impacts your relationships. And if you have a good internal triangle of well-being, then more than likely you're going to take that and connect with another person and hopefully cultivate what I call good interpersonal neurobiology. Wisdom tool 15 is, in light of that sense of interpersonal process, I'm going to suggest 100 attachment and attunement solutions to cultivate earned, secure attachment. Where as we look at attachment theory and we consider various forms of attachment, no matter how or what background you had, if it's been challenged, then the one thing that you can do, and I'm suggesting by the inclusion of these 100 principles, and you may not apply all of them, but yet as I encourage people to consider and identify 10 to 15 and try to develop them in the garden of the mind or the garden of the relationship, in order to create what Siegel had mentioned, basically is the four S's that help people to be seen, safe, secure, and soothed. And so the attachment and attunement principles are suggestions to help you to remove the distortion, but to tune into your own thoughts and feelings as well as the thoughts and feelings of other people in order to cultivate good, wise connections with others. There are a lot of tools in your toolbox because I've operated with the philosophy that I'd much rather you have the tools and not need them than to need them and not have them. So in Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, you'll find an abundance of tools and winning strategies at your disposal to simply cultivate love and wisdom. So in section 4, which is titled Wisdom Skills and the Healthy Adult Mode Behaviors, my approach and my goal for the reader is once you've engaged in the process of recalibrating yourself, reparenting yourself, in essence, renewing yourself by learning to come to your own assistance by engaging in reparenting behaviors based on the 8 C's of internal family systems. I wanted to return to schema therapy and present for your consideration 63 adult mode behaviors, which I affectionately call the 63 healthy adult mode ABCs. And the ABCs stands for A, about the healthy adult mode. And in that area, I'll share a few examples of the healthy ABCs in a moment. But the letter A means that you will learn about the healthy adult mode behavior that we're discussing. B, the letter B stands for behavioral brushstrokes, which provides an example of what the healthy adult mode behavior that you're reading about looks like practically in action. And then C, the letter C stands for it offers a practical example of what the committed self-care looks like when you apply the healthy adult mode with yourself, as well as caring connection with others, which speaks to the healthy connection and outcomes that I'd like for you to experience when you apply the healthy adult mode principle in your interaction with others. So what are a few of the healthy adult mode behaviors that you'll read about? Well, first of all, they're divided in 3 columns of 21 each. And in the first column, it's called 21 Healthy Adult Attributes from a Loving God for Wisdom in Your 7 Core Areas. So some of those healthy adult mode behaviors that you'll read about are love, wisdom, heart, and they're kind of grouped in 3s: enlightenment, education, and purpose, peace, nurture, empathy, patience, safety, fear modulation, honor, cherish, valuable, attachment, integrity, and compassion. As I was challenged to write the book, I mentioned to one person that I'm challenged to write the healthy and good attributes of a loving higher power, because I know that at times maybe many of us have heard disparaging comments about our higher power, our God, or a spiritual being. And so I wanted to present healthy attributes, because for me, the best defense against something unhealthy is to practice something really good and healthy and functional. So the book really does have a positive quality, and you just heard some of the attributes in column 1 that I would like for you to consider when you consider exploring healthy adult mode attributes that you would integrate into your life and your behavior. So in the second column, it's called 21 Healthy Adult Attributes to Love Yourself with Wisdom in Your 7 Core Areas. And some of the healthy adult mode behaviors that you'll read about here are morals, insight, maturity, responsibility, focused attention, thinking, regulation of emotions, kindness, gentleness, intimacy, endurance, and respect, strategic, balance, and practicing good. So those are things that in that second column that I would love for you to consider integrating into your own life for your own personal benefit, which are a reflection of you loving yourself. And then finally, in the third column, which is called 21 Healthy Adult Attributes to Share with Your Neighbors and your 7 core areas. And some of the healthy adult mode behaviors that you'll read about in that column are having intuition, inspiration, and goodwill, cortical overriding, understanding, and grace, romance, good lover, and boundaries, and attunement, collaboration, and interdependence. So those are some of the 63 healthy adult mode behaviors, and they reflect what researchers and clinicians, wives and husbands, parents and grandparents, professors and students, bosses and colleagues, pastors and spiritual guides, and others have identified over my 30 years of practicing as a psychotherapist as good behaviors that, when practiced consistently, will assist you to become skilled at living. There you are, presented to you to assist you in your effort to cultivate love and wisdom all the days of your life. Now, Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life concludes with Section 5 and the appendix, and Section 5 is called Gold, Silver, Rubies, and Precautions, and I offer spiritual insights and practical nuggets of wisdom to support your continued growth and development in maintaining your skills of living. In Section 5, you'll read about Gold, Silver, and Rubies, Part 1, 2, and 3. Again, practical insights about wisdom drawn from the book of Proverbs. And Section 5 contains the final wisdom tool number 17, which is what I call Post-it note wisdom, which I'd like for you to consider in light of all that you're reading through this book. What are practical, succinct insights for you to record on a 3x3 Post-it note and post it somewhere as a daily reminder of the behavioral brushstrokes that you'll wish to paint into existence on the canvas of your life? So Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life has a bibliography, and in the appendix, I've included insights about the Karpman Triangle, Dr. Stephen Karpman, and what is called the Equality Empowerment Triangle, which are helpful clinical concepts that you'll want to become familiar with because they do impact you, they do impact relationships, they impact work relationships, and their nomenclatures made their way into our English language. You probably have heard of victim, rescuer, persecutor, but the antidote to that is taking responsibility, brainstorming options, and negotiation where you use your power effectively. So that is it, my friends. That is what is in the box of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life. So thank you so much for listening. And I do encourage you, if you are one of those people that I just mentioned, Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life is great for professor and student, clinician and client, pastor and parishioner, husband and wife, high schooler and retiree, group leader, as well as group member. No matter who you are, I think that you will benefit from having a copy of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life in your library. I'd love for you to stay tuned for additional episodes where I will share in greater detail about what's in each of the sections of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life and how you can get the most out of those exercises. Please visit my website, drkenmcgill.com, or my blog, drkenmcgill.me, for additional information about the release of the book, which I anticipate will be released next month or November of 2025. Thank you. And again, I'm Dr. Ken McGill, author of the Cultivating Love book series, where integrated wisdom is the best way to live. Thank you.